Welcome back to my 2020 Halloween Spooktacular. Happy October, happy early Halloween, happy almost end of 2020, because let's just face it, we need this frickin' year to end. I'm back talking about a select few horror movies. Throughout the month of October, I'll be uploading some reviews of contemporary and modern horror movies. I got a lot in the works. Got a lot planned for this segment on my channel. Back with another more recent one. Deliver Us From Evil was released in 2014. It is directed by Scott Derrickson and it stars Eric Bana, Olivia Munn, Joel McHale, Sean Harris, Edgar Ramirez. It is inspired by the real-life accounts of NYPD Sergeant Ralph Sarchie, who, along with his partner Butler, must investigate a series of supernatural crimes that are happening in the Bronx and enlist the help of a priest, who's played by Edgar Ramirez, to help them solve those crimes that may involve demonic possession. I had seen this movie before. I blind bought this on Blu-ray a couple of years ago and watched it, and actually liked it. And so this is why I decided to talk about Deliver Us From Evil, because I hadn't seen it for a few years. Looking at it now, my opinion has changed a lot. For me, Deliver Us From Evil has a lot of scenes that are filmed at night. Almost every scene in this movie is filmed at night. When movies do that, they automatically put me to sleep. This happened in Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Man's Chest. There's just a section of that movie, and a good chunk of the movie after that section too, that is filmed at night. And I do not know why, but movies like that put me to sleep. Maybe it's because I'm always watching them in the dark, the scene is already dark, maybe I'm just tired. Who knows? But movies like this put me to sleep. It also doesn't help that this movie is just completely boring. Not a lot happens. The investigative search as to what the characters are actually investigating isn't that interesting. And I feel like it's because Scott Derrickson, who actually does a good job directing this movie and does a good job at creating a mood with all of those scenes that are filmed at night, didn't really know what type of movie he wanted to make. Did he want to make a procedural cop movie? Because at times this movie is definitely a procedural, generic, cliched, riddled cop movie. Or did he want to make a horror movie? Because at other times, this movie is a genre-ridden, cliched, generic horror movie. It never rides that line between the two. It's almost like it's just two separate movies, and he just didn't know which route he wanted to go down. He had to adapt this from a book written by Ralph Sarchie in real life, and it's very strange to me because I don't think that stuff like this, it works with the Warrens, who are actual demonologists. That's a huge reason why I think adapting something like The Conjuring can work. And I mean, obviously you have James Wan and his masterclass of directing and staging tension. But putting the cop spin on this, I know that this is based on real life events or real life accounts, so you have to have that spin on it, but it just takes away from the actual supernatural that they are trying to track down, and and when this does fall into genre-ridden, cliched, generic, procedural cop drama, it's some of the most boring cop work ever. And these characters just have nothing going for them. Eric Bana has one of the worst New York accents I've ever seen. Joel McHale plays his partner Butler, whose only character trait is that he wears a Red Sox hat, and he's getting made fun of by Eric Bana because they're in the Bronx. The Yankees are in the Bronx. That's all these characters have going for them. Eric Bana's character is a family man, but the movie doesn't spend as much time on that as it thinks it does. And so I never get to learn anything about his character. I never learn anything about any of the other characters. I could care less. Edgar Ramirez plays this priest who's just like, hey, yeah, I can help you. He just comes into frame all of a sudden for the second half of the movie. He's just there. All of a sudden, Joel McHale's character is gone for like most of the second half of the movie. And then all of a sudden, this priest comes in and starts partnering with Eric Bana, and I'm like, how did this happen? There's a scene early on in the movie where Edgar Ramirez comes into the police station and tells Eric Bana, hey man, I can help. I feel like Eric Bana's character in that sequence was just like, cool man, good for you. You look like a psycho. That's how I felt that their relationship worked in this movie. I never felt a connection between these two characters at all. For some reason, this movie is obsessed with the Doors references. Some minor spoilers here. during the final exorcism scene. It's actually a really good scene, but it gets ruined when Break On Through to the Other Side just randomly starts playing in the scene. It takes away all tension and suspense. And speaking of all that tension and suspense and whether or not this movie is scary or not, Scott Derrickson created a movie called Sinister, which scared the living shit out of me. And then he made Doctor Strange after this, which I thought was actually really good and an underrated Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. Sandwiched in between those two movies is Deliver Us from Evil. For some reason, he didn't take what he did so well with Sinister and incorporate it into this movie. He just thought that the best way to scare audiences was to create a bunch of jump scares. What makes this movie so boring is not only its cheap jump scares, but the way those jump scares are staged is that most of this movie is just Eric Bana and his partner sneaking around, investigating stuff in dark corridors, basements, hallways, bedrooms, whatever it may be, for about 30 seconds, and you know exactly when the noise is going to pop up, and that's your jump scare. Those are the cheapest types of jump scares. Scares for me should be something that's unexpected or something that genuinely scares you when you see it. That's my opinion. Walking around a bunch of different hallways, sneaking around dark alleys and corridors, and then having the musical cue play and somebody pop up on the screen or have somebody get tapped on the shoulder or have nothing happen at all, there's just that musical cue for no reason, is one of the cheapest ways to induce scares out of audiences. Which is a big reason why this movie is boring, and the way that this movie is staged to create those cheap jump scares is boring. It's why I lose interest in this movie. I was watching this movie and I looked at the timestamp at one point and I said, I'm only 51 minutes in. I am bored shitless right now. I got another hour to go. Deliver Us from Evil is, yes, a well-directed movie with Scott Derrickson setting up a mood, a kind of cold nightly mood with all these sequences filmed at night, but he never stages the tension in an adequate way. It always just feels cheap and it comes across as really boring, which in turn turns a lot of those sequences where these cops are investigating into very boring sequences. Not to mention, this movie is just full of every cliche in both the cop crime genre and the horror genre ever. And it's very weird that this is the movie Scott Derrickson made after Sinister. And then he goes right to Doctor Strange. It's weird. It's just a sandwich right in the middle. I have no idea. I liked this when I first saw it a few years ago. Rewatching it now after not having watched it for a couple of years, it's bargain bin material. I'm gonna give Deliver Us from Evil a C-. So guys, have you seen Deliver Us from Evil? What did you think of Deliver Us from Evil? Drop me some feedback in the comments section below. In terms of my James Bond reviews, I'm going to be having my last two going live this month and next month. My review for Skyfall will be up this month. My review for Spectre will be up next month. After that, I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do in terms of James Bond content because obviously No Time to Die got delayed again. It is now coming out in hopefully April of next year. I'll figure it out. I have some things planned that are James Bond related. Probably no lists because I was really waiting for No Time to Die to come out before I did a list of anything like action sequences, title sequences, pre-title sequences. I'll probably review a couple of the games and maybe try and make a James Bond music video, but we'll see. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Madden, and I'll see you at the movies somewhere.